right, John, we are live. It is time
Hooray!
for another episode of Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me today, and always, is my co-host, John Bristowe. How you doing, John?
I'm good and good. How's everyone out there? Hope everyone's fine and dandy. Got a lot of tech news to cover, but things are down here in Australia. Things are great, and of course in the future. So it's September here now. You'll love September. It's great.
You are a whole month ahead of me now, John. It's not fair.
That's right.
Hey, Scott Addy's here in the chat with us. Scott is part of the MS Docs team, so we better watch what we say about that stuff today.
No, we better make sure we say things about the MS Docs.
Say nice things.
Absolutely.
So we got some good topics here today, John. Last week we talked a little bit about Microsoft Flight Simulator because that was kind of a big deal. So I had some follow-up stuff that I thought was fun that I figured would be a good share this week. So I'm going to start off with, first of all, we're developers. The show's intended for developers and geeks alike. So my first tip is if you have Microsoft Flight Simulator and you want to be a Microsoft Flight Simulator developer, if you open up your general settings, go to the bottom and flip the tab over to developer mode on, it's kind of cool. Actually, there's a, let's see if I can annotate this. It's in a little screenshotty program.
Yeah, you can see it.
I just took the screenshot momentarily, but I don't know what it's doing now, but it jumped over to Snagit. Go away, Snagit. Snagit's great, but I'm trying to annotate. So up here in the top left-hand corner, you'll notice it has an SDK installer. I don't know what all that entails, but from what I've read, there's lots of bits that get shipped to you, and an example of like an aircraft. So if you wanted to maybe design your own airplane, you can go by their sample and then add those assets to your game. And what's really nice about all this is if you are able to make those assets, if that's something that you're capable of doing, there's an entire marketplace where you can sell your goods as a partner. So you build your stuff, you sign up for the partnership program, and then you can sell it in the marketplace. And there's already some pretty cool stuff on there.
All I care about is I can fly around a Star Fox. That's all I want.
Star Fox ship. That would actually be pretty cool. There's already a lot of flight sim manufacturers out there that teamed up with Microsoft early on. So there's things like the City of London you can buy. And I don't know if there's any aircraft yet, but there seems to be quite a few airports that are in high detail. So if that kind of stuff is interesting to you, I mean, it's like kind of like a model train set. You know what I mean? So
the virtual worlds are coming next.
Yeah.
Awesome.
People spend big dollars on model trains and stuff for their towns that they build and whatnot. Why not buy things for your flight simulator? So they've got detailed airports and things like that you can buy. It's pretty cool. All right. Speaking of flight simulators, you sent this one to me, John.
Yeah.
These guys.
This went around the Slack channel at Octopus Deploy because we found it kind of funny. What these guys did was they decided to obviously download and stream a 16-hour flight from LA to Dubai using Microsoft Flight Simulator. And you think it would be really boring, but they started drinking and they started acting like total idiots, and they were getting all these requests on the stream like, "Hey, increase the fuel," or "Hey, change the weight on the plane," because you can change all those dynamics in the game. And the plane would it was doing like flips and everything. And these guys were getting so drunk on the stream and just talking about nonsense, and they crashed about 3 or 4 times. It was absolutely hilarious, but it is a 16-hour stream on Twitch. But it's pretty good. It's not what you expected. So
I love that they're all dressed up too.
And they've got actually what they did was they took an X fuselage, and put cameras into it so that it's chopped off but they've got a literal flight deck. I think of like a Boeing 477 whatever 27 or something. Yeah. No, that's not green screen. That's a literal fuselage the cabin at the front, and they got a couple of cameras pointed there, and they've got the PCs in front of them. But the fact that they start drinking is just it's hilarious. They had different people come in. They had like flight attendants come in, like, oh, if you guys got everything you need, and and they were trying to take off. They were trying to take off from Dubai, and they couldn't get off the ground because they didn't know what they were doing, and the controls weren't working, and like it's quite funny actually. So.
I saw one where guys started in Cuba and decided to do a drug run, a mock drug run. So they got in a couple small Cessnas and took off from Cuba and flew like 100 feet, a couple 100 feet off the ground or off the water to Key West.
Is Tom Cruise in this? Is Tom Cruise in this one?
They organized it all like, on Twitch with 3 different planes. It was hilarious. I mean, it was not something that was being taken seriously by any means.
No.
It was so funny. Like they ended up like landing in the trees, and it was it was a whole.
I was waiting for the Funhouse guys to get on this because they're usually all over this sort of thing, but I guess they just play crappy games. But Funhouse is a channel that I'm a big fan of, and they basically have one person play and like about 6 people provide commentary in the background. They're like trashing the person as they're playing. So Funhouse would be an interesting one. But yeah, just an interesting sort of video to watch there if you've got some time to kill.
So if you're not the pilot type, but you enjoy the experience of flying.
Yeah, the ha-has. Yeah.
There is a new game out, a new simulator, a brand new simulator that is the passenger experience.
That's fantastic.
It is a 6-hour game where you sit in your passenger seat.
Yeah.
And you literally.
You get snacks and order movies and stuff. This is totally what the Funhouse guys would do. The Funhouse guys would totally play this.
Oh, this is a legit
Voyage to the Moon.
It's on Steam.
Yep.
You can download this today, and for a price of your dignity. I guess it's not. It's not ready yet. It's coming soon.
Yep. Can't wait.
Yeah. So I guess there's. I mean, if you have the volume.
Look, they're playing with the USB, that crappy USB thing that no one understands what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, down the corner there. I saw one with AV slots one time. I was on a plane so old that it had AV slots for like stereo.
Oh, like
and
RCA
it had a serial port at one point. I remember I got into a plane, it was somewhere in the States. It had a serial port interface, kind of like exposed, like a PS2 mouse interface. It had one of those on it. I was like, oh my God.
So you hear like babies crying.
Yeah.
I don't know what
perfect.
Possessed them to build this. This is by AMC of all things.
Okay.
You'd think like The Onion or something like that. No, this is AMC. So the channel that brought you Breaking Bad is now bringing you the airplane mode game.
Love it.
So you can
good.
It says at the bottom. So you can take a 6-hour commercial airline flight in coach. With everybody working from home, I know we've got, you and I are developer advocates, and Scott is in the chat room here. He's going to understand this as well. This should be a mandatory game we have to play before all virtual events.
reclining seats, snapping laptop lids. That's what we need to see here. Perfect. Love it.
Yeah. So I thought that was fun. I'll keep with the aviation routine here for a little bit. This one is really interesting, and I always pick a little AI thing to boggle everybody's mind each week.
Yep.
This one is a dogfight renews concerns about AI's lethal potential. So basically, they put together a competition, kind of like what was it, Watson? They had on Jeopardy, except
Deep Blue, Deep Think.
The military's like this Jeopardy thing was cool, but hold my beer. We're gonna do a dogfight, like Top Gun style, and out of 5 matches, can you guess how many the AI won?
None.
all of them.
Oh, okay. I was gonna go either or. It's gonna be one of those extremes.
All 5. So in a flight simulator,
Mm,
they took a pilot and pitted them, head to head with F-16s. The AI pilot won all 5 times.
perfect.
So the other pilot was not able to get the AI uh, the AI aircraft in his sights, and it would eventually wear him out, and then pretty much give him the one shot, boom headshot.
Yeah, yeah.
From these were like precision shots. It said.
Yeah, they're essentially
But
drones. I mean, that's what you're flying. That's why drones are so popular now, because they can be flown remotely, et cetera, et cetera. The era of person manned fighters is, I think, dead. I think, but
yeah, that's. I think we might have talked about that on the Code It Live channel before. Not on this
oh,
show,
okay.
but we were talking about Top Gun
Mm,
on one of our shows a couple weeks ago. And Sarah, my boss, said, "Did you guys see that the new Top Gun movie's coming out?" And I was like, "That seems like such a dated thing, like because
yeah, yeah,
I can just picture drones fighting these days."
yeah. No, you
Um,
gotta do it because I was inverted. That's what you gotta do.
um,
It's like
yeah, so
what?
this was really interesting, and it brings up a lot of scary questions about AI. And this is kind of the thing I've talked about for years. It's not the Terminator scenario where we should be worried about. It's something like this where the targeting system mistakes something as
Sure, of
a friendly
course.
thing, as an enemy
That's all right.
thing.
Elon Musk is going to work on it. We'll combine it with Tesla's site, and we'll be fine.
We'll combine the Neuralinked pig with the
Yes, that's
AI
right.
fighter pilot, and
Yep.
let then pigs will literally fly.
Fly. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've come full circle perfectly.
I come on, you got to give me extra credit for that joke.
I did
That
see
took
that.
some
For
engineering.
those who don't know, Neuralink, Elon made an announcement around Neuralink where he talked about how they've been using pigs to graft their sensor on top of their brains and stuff. And they showed a pig without one. Or no, they showed a pig who had one installed, but had it removed and was totally happy and fine. They showed one that had one installed, and then they had one. They had a third one. I can't remember what it was, but
He was
3
the
little
pilot.
pigs. Gotcha.
I made a full segue into pigs flying, and you're
I
giving me no
know.
credit.
I know.
Ron. You're
No,
giving me
I
no
did.
credit.
I did. It's good.
All right, all right. Let's get to some actual developer news.
Okay.
I just caught this one on Twitter. This is Tim Hoyer, or is that how you pronounce his last name?
Hewer, I
Hewer.
think.
Tim Hewer. He was tweeting about Visual Studio Preview, which we've talked about a few times
Yep.
last
Yep.
few
Yep.
weeks here. This one is really cool because if you've ever seen the command line .NET New templates,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you can actually install and create very easily Visual Studio File New Project templates, but they run on the command line. So
Yep.
now there's a preview feature where you check a box and those command line templates show up in the File New Project dialog in the GUI.
I have
So
one concern. I really hope the designers of that new project dialog accounted for how big that list is going to get.
yeah, so there's a search box in that list.
Google for Visual Studio templates.
Yeah, so there is a search box in that new project dialog. I don't know. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's probably metadata you can add to categorize it, because if you go to the command line, and we can actually do this live. This is really easy to do. I
Okay.
can say .NET new, and it will list these out, and they're
Yep.
categorized by language, and then they have tags.
Yep.
So the command line version of these tools already has a way to group these together. So this is just another way you can either search or group those things in the
Yep.
GUI as well.
Yep.
So I don't think it'll be too bad. You can see
Mm.
here, I don't have that many additional things installed.
I'm curious to know, they also have generators in .NET Core, the command line. Do those get exposed in any way through this?
I don't know.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah,
Doesn't look like it.
here, and it's a
Yeah.
preview. It's
Yes.
a preview, so
That would be the next
this
step, is to
yeah.
expose the generators. That'd be cool.
This is the Hello World version of it. But it's nice to see that they've merged these things together because this makes development cycle a lot shorter. Now I just need to make the command line thing, and I have the GUI.
Or you could just use Visual Studio Code, okay? Get with the program, all right? It's all about Visual Studio Code.
We could just use Notepad and Vim.
Yes. What's wrong with that?
Yeah,
I've been using Emacs for years. My hands are fine.
Find and replace. That's all we need. Copy, paste, find and replace.
It's copy, paste, edit for taste. Items. That's the way. That's right. Bless you. There you go.
Thank you. I've got seasonal allergies flaring up.
That's just your emotional part of your inner self that's rejecting those new features of Visual Studio. Don't worry about it.
We had like the remnants of a hurricane come through the other day, and it stirred up all the things. So
okay.
Going outside triggers lots of sneezing. All right, so this is a link of yours, John. Automatically find latent bugs in your code with .NET 5.
The title is kind of meh. It's a marketing title, but basically they're adding a new they're adding a new analysis level. By default, everything in the old world is level 4, and now they're adding a 5th one, level 5. Once we get to level 9,000, then I think we will truly be able to write good software. But until then, we have level 5. So in .NET 5, the new compilers, the compilers have a new analysis level, and it will add additional capabilities to the analysis that occurs when you compile your code. And they will capture sort of some gotchas that occur, some warnings that may trigger, and they're listed in that section you got there right there. So incompatibilities, performance, reliability, et cetera, et cetera. So just to keep people on the ball, there's a new analysis level. It will be turned on by default for .NET 5 projects. So you'll be opted into this experience. But generally speaking, that's the new default level. And so be ready.
And Scott was replying to the earlier thread that we had going with the .NET tooling for the file new project templates.
Yes.
You can add a JSON config file with all of those pieces of metadata so it gets organized correctly in the UI. You don't have a template soup to choose from. By the way, since you're here, Scott, Scott's got an excellent show as well on the Docs team. If you want to share that with the chat room, Scott, feel free. Rust.
Yes.
It's a very cool language.
It's
it's
getting there. It's getting there. Rust
language,
is
ecosystem, also all the above.
Yeah, it's a popular. It's actually one of the fastest growing programming languages out there. Of course, when you're going from 1 to 2, you're showing 100% improvement. But I'm just kidding. Rust is actually trending quite well, and I've been keeping kind of a small view of this. Rust 1.46 shipped recently, so if you want, you can go ahead and rust up and get the latest version. Not too many features that have been added to this, but just as an FYI, if you ever want to get your hands dirty with Rust, you can go to rust-lang.org. There's some great docs listed there, but it is a tool that is something that is popularized amongst various circles, and should be noted that there's a new version.
Yeah, so Rust is a really interesting one when it comes to WebAssembly. So there's actually a lot of really good crates, they call them. So crates are kind of like NuGet packages in the Rust world.
Yep.
And there's a bunch that are dedicated to building your Rust code into WebAssembly code. So there's like some JavaScript interop type abilities and things that your code can pick up from adding some crates to your project. And a really cool way to see that in action is to go to WebAssembly. See if I can remember this off the top of my head. It's webassembly.studio. Yeah, webassembly.studio, and you get one of those live, like in the browser IDE type environments.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
There's a Rust project in here. There's actually two of them. So you can hit Hello World Rust and hit Create, and you will get a Rust project that does exactly what I just said. And I won't go through all the details of it, but basically it writes some interop code out to the browser, so you can put some text up on the screen or pop up hello world, what do you call it, notification on the browser using WebAssembly via Rust code. So that's pretty cool.
Speaking of languages, there was an interesting one that I saw, which is not Rust, sorry, Ruby in Italian. So there's so when you do a programming language, non-English speakers are often confused by the fact that everything's in English, and it's just the nature of things. How languages are developed, they're typically done. Computer science has a deep sort of history around English use, but there is a developer, it's up on GitHub, where all the keywords, all the types, everything is in Italian. So instead of saying in Ruby, instead of saying class, it says class, like with an SE at the end. And so all the docs, all the keywords, everything's in Italian. So I think that's great. I think it's good to see non-English speakers be able to program in a language that they choose.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I went ahead and clicked run on this guy, and it pops
Oh
up.
yeah, there you go.
You know, the browser native pop-up box is invoked from WebAssembly with Rust code that's been compiled.
And the crowd
to
goes
WebAssembly.
wild.
And what's interesting about this is I love Blazor. It's a great framework. This is a different approach. This is actually compiling your code to WebAssembly versus Blazor is running the .NET runtime, so you don't actually compile your code to WebAssembly. So it's totally a different thing. Definitely something to check out, though, is Rust in general. And the WebAssembly stuff is really neat, too. And then
Cool.
I posted Scott's show up on the screen for folks if you can catch that in chat. Again, the Docs folks have a show that they do, kind of like the weekly stand-ups that the .NET team has. So it's good stuff.
Awesome.
What is a Seek?
Yes.
2020 or 2020.2 is released. I think we talked about Seek before.
Yeah, we're big fans of Seek at Octopus Deploy. We use it a lot for our tracing and logging. This is sort of the equivalent of, well, I guess it's kind of like any other console tool you'll find in Mac or Windows, etc. Has huge amounts of scalability, etc. It does all the usual stuff that you'd expect out of a tracing tool. And recently 2020.2 was shipped. And yeah, we're big fans of it. Just thought I'd just put it out there as an FYI so people can take a look at it, check it out themselves. Great integration with all the things if you'd like. So no matter what environment you're targeting, whether you're in a containerized environment or you're doing everything on the metal or you're doing it somewhere else, you can integrate with Seek very easily from all basic programming languages. It can run inside its own container as well and can trace pretty much anything. And the nice thing about it is that you can get full visibility across all your logs. So everything that you trace or log, you can do a search against. So it has a rich query language and allows you to do some great things in terms of your logging. Probably the one thing that I think most people don't do enough of is tracing or logging. Yeah. And it really helps you when you're trying to debug.
Yeah, when you showed this to me before, I thought the parsing and query part of it was really impressive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's taking log files that don't have necessarily a detailed schema, and they're able to parse through those and make sense of all of it.
And to come somewhat full circle, this is actually built, part of this is built with Rust. So there you go.
Buy a pig with Neuralink.
Okay. All right, fine.
Okay, maybe not. .NET 5 Preview 8. This is the monthly
I know.
release.
I know.
So
yeah, preview now.
Fast.
Yeah, the thing now is that it's feature complete. So if you're going to start targeting the APIs of .NET 5, now is the time to start. So Preview 8 is sort of it's the akin of a release candidate in a sense, but it is feature complete now. So all the APIs that are going to be in .NET 5 are now baked in. Now there obviously may be some bug fixes along the way, but this is the version to start targeting if you're going to start targeting.
So you shouldn't see like massive breaking changes and stuff like that anymore.
No.
Yeah, and I think that's supposed to release late November, if I'm not mistaken. .NET 5's coming out late November, and I think Scott might know. It's not like
I
a
think the
new or
roadmap's
anything.
up
It's
on
been
GitHub.
announced for a while now, but I
Yep.
think November is our release date for that. So that's not too far away. So it makes sense that this is going to be um, the final preview before it starts going into, the RTM and final shipping.
Yep.
Some of this stuff in there.
C#
Looks like we're
9, big
moving
features.
yeah, we got
Hmm.
immutability, so functional programming people can be happy.
Yep.
Lots of good stuff in there.
Hmm. Definitely worth checking out.
F#5.
Yes.
I think we're going to keep seeing the functional programming stuff pick up the pace as we continue to go to like multi-threaded applications and whatnot.
Agreed. Yep. I've been doing, incidentally, I've been writing a lot of Go code recently, and that is super highly functional and highly parallel. So, yeah, it's a good thing to start sort of expose yourself to. And Scott in the chat has said that November is indeed when .NET 5 ships.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep. It's moving fast. It's going to be on a yearly schedule now, so we should see .NET 6 in November next year and so on. So expect this type of fast iteration to continue. And speaking of .NET stuff, we've got C# source generator samples are now available.
Yeah, so we talked about source generators as a thing a couple of months ago. These were introduced in the new Roslyn bits. And so what they've introduced here are two new samples, one for CSV data and another one for processing Mustache docs or specs. So source generators allow you to basically do an intercept during the compilation process, and you can inject or generate source code on the fly. And so what they have now here is one that allows you to access in a strongly typed manner CSV data. And then a second one is one that creates string constants based on Mustache specifications. So these are relatively easy to use by the looks of it. I went through this blog post. It looked pretty grokkable, if you will, and didn't seem too out of the ordinary. But this is a new feature in Roslyn that allows you to utilize these things going forward, which is great.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, typically we do this at compile time, but yeah.
Flexbox Defense.
Yeah, I found this one. This one was fun. So Flexbox is a way of positioning elements using CSS3. Flexbox basically is a way of positioning elements. People like it a lot. The only problem is sometimes certain browsers don't have support for it. And so what this is a teaching tool that allows you to learn how to use Flexbox by positioning towers in a tower defense-like manner. So justify content is a way of positioning elements. You can say things, and if you click on the drop-down list, it will give you a list of the options for the justify content in the description there. So there's a drop-down arrow next to in the description. Nope, to your left. See that little? Yeah, there you go. So those are the options there. So you can center content, you can flex end, flex start, etc. So I put center, and then you can say start wave, and what this will do is allow you to learn how to use Flexbox in a tower defense-like manner. So I thought it was kind of a clever way of teaching it.
This is the first time I've seen tower defense
used in a productive manner.
in the same project. This is pretty clever. I've seen other CSS learning techniques. There's a frog.
Yes.
Is it lily pads or something like that? Frog. If I can spell it correctly, frog CSS game. There's a frog one where you got to like put them on their lily pads.
Flexbox
Froggy. Yeah, there we
nice.
go.
Oh, this is just the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this one you got to get the frog to the lily pad.
Yes.
This one's pretty good. It's probably a little more practical than this one, but this one's a little more fun, I think. The tower defense is a little more creative and interesting, but the Flexbox frog one, I think, is a little more relatable to real work. Because of what it's doing. In the
yes, I agree.
So
I agree. Yeah, Flexbox is obviously awesome, but as I said, it's not always supported. I would say today it is. I would say that if you were to do the can I use lookup for Flexbox, I would imagine most of them are supported broadly. So can I use is a website that you can go to that will tell you the support values for a variety of browsers. And you can see with Flexbox, there's a variety of Flexbox related things you have to look up, but this covers a whole gamut of browsers, including mobile browsers and TV browsers, etc. And so anything in green shows you the version number that Flexbox is supported.
And pretty much everything important is there.
This is just the box layout model, though there are other ones as well.
Okay. I was going to say, this is pretty widespread. The only thing that doesn't cover it is like IE, but that's expected. Pretty much every evergreen browser, though, supports Flexbox, as far as I know.
So if people haven't seen Can I Use, you can type into the search box there, Can I Use, and you can type, whatever. So if you type Flexbox, for example, or Flex, there should be a drop-down. It will give you a result set for the various sort of properties that are in the Flexbox model, including other things that are not supposed to be in there, but you can see the specs variety. There's a variety of specs that are supported and unsupported. And then if you want to use other things like, say, transitions in CSS or GURD, apparently is not a feature. So yeah, grid, for example.
CSS grid is another one that's supported pretty widely, except for things that don't matter, like Opera Mini. I'm not sure who's using Opera Mini anymore. And Baidu browser.
I believe my uncle in parts of Ukraine are using the Opera Mini browser.
And then, of course, the IE bunch is not supported well either, but you often need actually both of those, CSS Grid and Flexbox, in the same layouts at times to get things done just the right way.
Yep.
So those are two weapons at your disposal. I say weapons because we can use them in tower defense.
That's right.
It's creative. I like the creativeness of that, though. I mean, somebody sat down and thought this idea up and was like, as a matter of fact, it says Channing Allen is the person's name. So this person sat down and was like, you know what? I can make a game that teaches Flexbox.
Sure.
While you're playing tower defense.
Just out of curiosity, because I'm not as up on Blazor as you are, would there be a possibility to do something similar in Blazor to teach people this sort of thing as well?
Oh, you could definitely copy this idea and put it in Blazor, but to the end user, it wouldn't make a difference because it's just CSS and doesn't really relate to the Blazor framework much.
Okay. I just would have thought there might have been isms that you could expose, like rather than just the positioning of elements, you could create different tower types, etc. You could
potentially have like in
C#.
Instead of doing Flexbox defense, you could have like Blazor defense and put in some way to learn different directives and things and have it somehow relate to this. I don't know.
This is, what this reminds me of? This reminds me of? Do you remember when .NET first came out and they built Terrarium? Do you remember Terrarium?
No, I don't.
Oh, God. So Terrarium was this experiment where they basically created ant hills, an ant colony. And with Terrarium, you might be able to get a hit for this if you do a search for terrarium.net. Basically, it was a project that was built to try and teach you how to build C# classes, et cetera, and you would build different types of ants, I think, using the sort of SDK and spec that they had for these things. So that was another way to do it. And then this is another one, I guess, built with .NET, I guess.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen that one, and I'm trying to search and it's not coming up. So.
It dates back to like 2002, 2003. It was a long time.
Internet, so.
Well, it was built by the .NET dudes. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But Terrarium, that definitely brings back some memories.
Yeah, so there's a person in the Blazor community that goes by the name of Mr. Magoo, and in a similar fashion, he not a game that teaches you Blazor, but he wrote a game to teach himself Blazor. So he put together Blazor Tetris, and that is out on GitHub, so you can find that as well. That's a way you could pick up some Blazor learning in the browser. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, if you want a good laugh, there's a guy. He's an Australian developer who builds games on the fly. His channel is called Code Code Bullet, and he creates these games, and it's a little bit not safe for work. But if you search for Code Bullet on YouTube, he creates all kinds of games, and he typically targets Python, but he could easily do this in .NET. And he tries to build these games with the goal of trying to solve them. And the AI is so crazy that it freaks out most of the time. And he built the Tetris one, which was quite funny actually, because he had to build the game first, and then he built the AI for the game, because most games, if you were to target something with an AI, you typically get locked out.
So there is a good. I'm trying to find the actual website. I think this is it. If you search Ludum Dare, I'm probably pronouncing that right. I heard it's pronounced Dairy or Dare. It's not pronounced Dare. It's written Dare, D-A-R-E. So this is a game jam competition. So they basically give you some parameters, and you have to build a game around those parameters. And you see people doing these on Twitch. It's really cool. I've got some friends of mine that started doing these, and they now have a game development business.
Okay.
They've built, they got a lot of really good ideas generated out of this. And one of those, they're actually getting ready to release on some major game system in Steam.
Steam? All of it?
So my friends run Two Scoop Games, and
okay.
they've got. This is coming to consoles. They told me which ones, but I'm not. It's like an NDA thing, so I don't
those graphics.
Let the cat out of the bag. But this is coming to some major consoles and stuff. But they got started that way, so
looks like
they were
Metro
doing
Warrior
these game jams, and they came up with this game. It was like originally, I think, an iOS game that was really basic, and that was about all you did. What it's showing right now, but they evolved it into this. Really cool platformer. So these little games you see online, like Blazer Tetris and the Ludum Dare and the game jams, you never know how that might evolve into something. It's really neat to see.
Love it. The graphics are amazing.
Yeah, they really have the 80s retro type graphics in there. It's really neat to see all the iterations they've done throughout the years to get it where it's
does
at.
the dab at the end. It's great.
Yeah, these are really good community folks that live close to me. So once all the quarantine is done, I'm gonna have to go say hi to them again and congratulate them on their new game release.
Awesome.
Alrighty. So I think that's all we got for the day, John.
Yeah.
It's Monday, so. It's Monday for me. It's Tuesday for you. So your Tuesday is just beginning. My Monday.
It's so nice living in the future. Oh.
I know. Unless you have to fly somewhere, and it's painful.
Yes.
But you haven't had to do that for a little while, so when the travel comes back, you will once again experience the 27-hour plane flight.
No. I'm gonna go to that simulator you showed me. I'm gonna use that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
the flight,
Joke's on you.
The 6-hour
airplane mode
simulation of airplane mode. All right, everybody. Right. Thanks for joining in, and you can catch all sorts of shows here all week long. We've got a pretty busy schedule this week. If you scroll down, there should be a schedule at the bottom of the screen, but if you just hit follow, it's so much easier because you just get an email or an alert when the channel goes live. So that's that. Take care, John, and everybody.
All right, man.
Thanks for tuning in. And Curious Drive was asking if this was new backgrounds. This is my office behind me, and John, if that's your office, you're on like Pluto or maybe you're
I'm on the edge of the universe.
The edge of the universe.
That's right.
I thought that was between two Starbucks.
Sure,
Starbucks
why not?
Across the street from another Starbucks isn't at the end of
That's
the universe?
the old Lewis Black bit, right? I came out and like an Alzheimer's patient, I saw another. Why don't I get a Starbucks coming out of Starbucks?
Yes. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
See ya.